So, first Slam Dunk was amazing. Um, the amazing thing about first Slam Dunk, aside from the animation and whatnot, is oddly enough, it served both as a finale to the anime series, and it also kind of served as an introduction as well, in a way, because the mangaka of Slam Dunk, he actually wrote and directed the movie as well, which I guess really helped benefit overall the movie as well. From what I've heard, I'm not really sure. I never really looked into it, but the mangaka and I believe Shonen Jump was the publisher in Japan. Um, they had trouble with the final story arc in the manga because he originally wanted the protagonist to lose against the championship team at the end, and editorial wanted them to win because they were like, this is a young boy's manga, and it would be too much of a downer for the team to lose after everything that they've gone through. Which I guess I kind of see both sides of that aspect, that you know the creator wanting to have his artistic vision fulfilled, and on the other hand, the business aspect as well, and keeping the readers in mind as well. I think a lot of readers would have been upset if they wouldn't have one, especially after so much time invested in the storylines. So he compromised that he ended it with them winning, but he didn't really finish it the way he wanted to. So apparently he was going to continue with the series, but he decided not to continue with the series after the whole argument about the winning or losing and whatnot. And the anime also apparently came to a screeching halt because of that as well. So they never animated that final storyline. And from what I've read, apparently they've been trying to convince him, at least the producer of the movie had been trying to convince him to do the Slam Dunk movie since like 2016, 2014 or something like that. And originally they were just showing him CG, like fully computer generated models and reels to convince him to do the final story arc animated as a movie. And the mangaka, I'm sorry, the name escapes me right now. Well, the mangaka, he didn't want to do it because he felt that the 3D CG technology didn't look good for the type of story he wanted to do. And at the same time, a lot of the high energy, like basketball, intense action from playing, wasn't translating as well as the producers and whatnot would have liked to do with the new CG technology that really wasn't available to the extent it is now, compared to the 90s when the anime came out. So eventually, after the lockdown, they kind of reached a compromise where they did the whole 2.5D, which is using kind of like the traditional animation style in 2D for the majority of the movie, and then do like the 2.5D, which is essentially kind of like the structure of 3D figures, but the faces and the details are done more in a way that looks more traditionally drawn rather than being sculpted out in 3D, which creates its own kind of unique kind of feel. It almost looks like yes, that 2.5D, like a combination of 3D with the 2D images. And that's when they finally convinced him to go ahead and do the movie, and then they just offered him to be the writer director of the anime as well, because they felt that he was the only one that could bring it to life, that final storyline, that final matchup, which I think in the end was a great idea. If I'm not mistaken, that was his directorial debut. As well, thinking about Shortcomings, Randall Park, that was his directorial debut. I believe this mangaka's first Slam Dunk was his directorial debut as well. I think it's his only work that has been adapted into anime so far. I don't know, I don't recall how many property he's worked on. I think maybe 3. Vagabond being the other big property that he created afterwards, but that's been on hiatus for a long time. I don't know if they'll ever make like a proper animation of it. I think Amazon Prime did something with it. I have to check that out. But again, first Slam Dunk essentially picks up almost where the original anime from the 90s left off. It continues the story. But he kind of remixes in a way the story where he shows a lot of backstory to a lot of the characters in the form of flashbacks. And again, not to give like too much away if you haven't like seen the original anime or read the original manga. If you walk into the movie blind, I guess you still will talk enough of the main characters that you won't feel lost or why this game is so important. But it still helps to at least have like at least a general knowledge of the franchise before watching the movie. Like the way that he was able to manage putting in all these elements from the original stories and kind of like build up these characters and present it in a way that was entertaining for people that really knew the lore of the comic, of the manga, and for people that might not have been familiar with the manga, that probably only saw the anime only, or for the people that didn't see the anime or read the manga, it was still done in a way where for the people that was familiar, it was fresh and entertaining, and for the people that weren't so familiar, it really helped them fill in the blanks and fill in the gaps in certain things that they probably wouldn't have known. So it's kind of like a sequel, prequel, if you want to call it that. I guess that's probably why it's called the first Slam Dunk, because it finishes the story at last, and at the same time, if you're watching it for the first time, you won't be completely lost if you go into it not knowing beforehand about the franchise and whatnot. And the directing was so good, and the action and the basketball game, like the theater was actually very respectfully full. Like I didn't expect it, to be honest, to be as full as it was in that screening that I went to. I went to like a 10:30 at night screening, with all the competition between Barbenheimer, the Meg 2, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I didn't expect it to do too well, but it did very decent for what I've seen and for what I've heard, which good for them, And the crowd in that audience in that screening were like really into the movie. They were really vocal in those final 5-10 minutes of the movie where the intensity picks up in the game and all this crazy animation is happening. It's not like Kuroko's Basketball. If you've seen Kuroko's Basketball, I always made fun that even though I love that anime, it's kind of like a combination of Slam Dunk and Dragon Ball Z, because there's like special moves and special techniques and whatever. Slam Dunk is just like pure intense basketball action, which I definitely appreciate as well. like people just like really into it and clapping and shouting at the key moments of the movie. It almost felt like actually being in a game or something like that. It was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun with First Slam Dunk, and hopefully, if you're an anime fan, a sports fan, sports movie fan, I would say check it out because it's just such a great movie with such great characters, and you really get so involved with the characters, and you really do want to see them win, despite of um, all the roadblocks they have to go through to grow as not just athletes but as young people as well, because these are teenagers that are finding their way in life as well. So it was just a great movie, guys. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all tomorrow.